you tell me.
Must be Mexican.
Yes.
So how'd you end up doing those?
Man.
I don't know.
Because we have to have the with front facing cameras.
I mean, we don't have to, but
Our,
it'd be nice.
our software has to. What about YouTube? Do we need to move the tripod?
If you look on that link I sent you, that'll show you the packet that I sent them. I did not send them in PowerPoint. So basically, this is what I'm gonna say, which is basically for background when I have the staff report. They should have all your questions.
Do we need to move the tripod?
Any questions? There is on it. And then, so that's why. Otherwise, they can table it.
Yeah, let me see. Is that better? So, I don't know if you want this. Our software it automatically puts it in. Oh, 49. And so they want, I do want to hold the camera on my board now.
Well, that's what I do.
You know, that one.
With my phone.
Yeah, that's what they want.
I have an iPad. But like, especially.
And ours won't. Our appraisal software won't work with the computer like we want to. iPad probably, but I don't know. We had these. We went to Dell's. We went back from my 9 years. I suppose you could. You can. I'm guessing there might be this one available. I'm getting a different one, so this one might be available. It's a 9 version. Everybody in my office has a 10. And as Isaac said, I don't need the power, I'm good. No, it's horrible. It's just the biggest problem I have is and they don't. So, and that's what I need. So, like tonight I'll go home because they'll do a backup start. When I get home, I'll have to run a bunch of updates from home. So.
internet browser.
Do you want to sit back here? Amber is the director of planning and zoning. Have you guys met? This is Jake Rizek, he's a new county engineer. Brian Anderson, he's the county assessor. Just to put some faces to names for you. There might be some other changes. There's some in the HR office.
Yeah, we have an extra.
I think they're grabbing more chairs.
They're coming. Staff, they're coming. Thank you, though.
It's tight. We'll make it work. There's some here. Such, yeah.
We call the January 27th, 2026 board meeting to order and ask you to please stand for me and join me in the pledge,
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There's a couple seats up front here. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Moved and second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All same sign, motion carries. At this time, I'd like to invite the county attorney to make some comments.
Moving to the public comment period of the agenda, so we allow public comments, policy of the Steele County Board. If you wish to share your thoughts, please provide your name and address, or be acknowledged by the board chair. Each speaker has 2 minutes to express their remarks. Steele County promotes respect of its work environment and boardroom. Speakers should maintain dignity and show respect towards others. Comments should be directed to the entire board, not individual commissioners, officials, or staff. The board chair may limit comments if they are argumentative, disrespectful, or redundant. Please avoid name calling or use of language, as this may result in being asked to return to your seat or leave the board. No action will be taken on items presented during the public comment unless they are on the agenda. The board may refer some inquiries to the county administrator for follow-up. Additionally, from the county attorney's office, the Steele County public comment period is an opportunity for the public to views public officials. This is different than a formal comment period for other formal actions taken by the Steele County Board. Formal comment period, which is open from November 18th until December 31st, 2025. Additionally, Steele County has received a request to recuse 4 county commissioners on voting on the East Side corridor issues. Being that it's one of the top issues today, as Steele County attorney, it's my duty to provide legal advice to the county board. As such, I reviewed the documents provided, and I have an opinion that none of the commissioners have a direct conflict of interest pursuant to the case law of the state of Minnesota. And I have some case law if anyone would like to, which I afterwards can provide that to you. So as county attorney, my opinion is that any of the board members can vote on that matter tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. At this time, we invite people for public comment. Please state your name and address. Anybody would like to speak for public comment?
Colin Whalen, 2435 Broadway Place Northeast. The Board of Commissioners voting on the need for an environmental impact statement for the East Side Corridor project, please consider the following. 34th Avenue, removed as an alternate route in September of 2024 with a single line item opinion. No study data or objective evidence provided to support the removal of this previously recommended route. Human safety. What should be a key component of any decision regarding the addition of a high-speed roadway near existing developments is absent from the county's and WSB's documentation regarding the ESC. Purpose and need. Any reasons provided in regard to purpose and need for the ESC are objectively met with the 34th Avenue route, and this without the need for costly mitigations needed on a 29th Avenue route. Preserved route. The assertion that 29th Avenue has been preserved or planned as a corridor. This corridor was never purchased, no right-of-way was acquired, and development was approved by local government several times to develop directly over the mapped route. $3.9 million. The amount of federal funding earmarked for the ESC removed from this project in an attempt to remove federal oversight. Predetermination. The EAW includes an alignment map dated April 29th, 2022, yet the project was not made public until July 21st, 2022. With this map months before public notice and later presented through environmental review, concerns about predetermination are raised. Overall costs. Based on prior estimates of $10 million, $20 million, and now $30 million plus, where is the transparency on what is driving costs without using phrases, everything just costs more and the longer we wait? noise study conducted when prepared by WSB in December of 2024 showing significant impact to over 80 homes in the North Country neighborhood, but was omitted from the EAW. Farmland. One glance at a Google map will show you the elegant straight line route of 34th Avenue and the lessened impact to our precious farmland. We can't create more tillable land. EIS, Environmental Impact Statement. This is the level of oversight and diligence needed to ensure an East Side Corridor project is being completed in the most responsible manner for our citizens. Please, please, please vote against moving ahead until an EIS is completed. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to make public comment?
Simone Lot, 2535 Mossy Creek Drive. Our house is the first one north of Rose Street. Our backyard will butt up to the 29th Avenue highway option. Our home will be negatively impacted by noise, pollution, safety failures, and decrease of our property value. Our backyard will be rendered useless. The traffic noise will be constant, 24 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week. A pile of dirt with a little tree on top will not mitigate these negatives. While the county may claim exemption from certain noise thresholds, it is not exempt from identifying, addressing, and mitigating noise impacts. The EAW fails to do so. Despite statements that federal funding has been dropped, the EAW documents that the ESC is a federal undertaking and therefore remains subject to applicable federal regulations, including federal noise requirements. Under MAPA and NAPA, impacts must be addressed in the following order: avoid, minimize, mitigate. Avoidance is the premier option because it prevents the substantial documented noise impacts altogether. In the EAW, the county has referenced berms similar to Deer Trail Lane. Those berms were constructed before residential development occurred. The 29th Avenue option represents a highway encroaching on established homes, which requires a different mitigation analysis under MAPA and NAPA. For example, a berm would have to span the full length of the subdivision. It must meet applicable MnDOT engineering standards, including 1:3 and 1:4 slope ratios. It must be entirely on public property and address runoff and drainage issues, just to name a few. Avoidance would be the most responsible choice. Tonight, the East Side Corridor is on the agenda. It will be very interesting to observe the vote. In closing, I just want to add, one definition of integrity is doing the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to make public comment?
My name is Jeannie Fickner. I live on 1818 Southeast Avenue. I'm speaking regarding the EAW East Side Corridor project, which directly affects our land. My family is in its 5th generation of farming this land. It's not just acreage on a map. It's our livelihood and our home and our history. And this project just doesn't affect our farmland. Maps show future annexation and development that would impact not only our fields, but our home as well. In my written comments, I raised concerns about how this project was grown far beyond its original purpose of creating a north-south roadway. What's now proposed includes a rural, multi-use trail, curb and gutter, storm sewer, retention ponds placed in productive farmland. These additions are permanent. They change our land drains, how we farm it, and whether it remains viable for long term. The responses I received did not meaningfully address those concerns. Many were marked comment noted or redirected elsewhere. There was no analysis of how these additions increase costs, expand impacts, or burden farmland owners, and no explanation of why they are necessary to meet the project's stated purpose. I was also told that people want the trail, but no data was provided showing who those people are, whether impacted landowners were included, or whether anyone was told the true cost or consequences of running a trail through working farmland. Most concerning to me is that the EAW did not evaluate real impacts to farmland, including fragmentation, drainage disruptions, yield loss, and the cumulative effects of multiple public projects affecting the same land. The responses did not correct that gap. Many residents, landowners, and farmers are affected, yet those impacts have not been fully disclosed or evaluated. Decisions here will affect it forever. Please do not move forward based on incomplete records. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Anybody else that can make public comment?
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Tyrell Alistair Hunter, 210 North Oak Avenue, apartment 306. I want to speak directly to why the deficiencies raised during the environmental review remain unresolved as this board considers a final decision. Throughout the EAW process, site-specific impacts to the most affected homes were not analyzed because they were repeatedly characterized as not required under MEPA, deferred to future decisions, or addressed through design features rather than environmental analysis. Long-term noise, near roadway, air quality, safety, and cumulative impacts were not evaluated in a way that discloses their magnitude, duration, or severity. Instead, the record relies on regulatory exemptions, assumptions about traffic capacity, and mitigation measures that were left undefined during the EAW. As a result, these issues were never resolved through analysis or set aside procedurally. The EAW also acknowledges planned growth along this corridor, yet evaluates the roadway largely in isolation, postponing consideration of how impacts accumulate over time. Environmental review is intended to provide decision makers with the information needed to determine whether impacts may be significant before approval. When that analysis is deferred or avoided, the responsibility of unresolved impacts shifts to the decision itself. Proceeding tonight would mean relying on assumptions and future actions in place of completed environmental review. I ask the board to consider whether the record before you tonight provides that information. Thank you.
Thanks, Tyrell. Is there anybody else who'd like to make public comment?
Good evening, my name is Matt Sennett, 2519 Stony Creek Drive. County board members, I'm here today to speak with you about waste, abuse, and the responsibility as stewards of public dollars and public trust, especially as you prepare to vote on a finding of no significant impact. Across Minnesota, we are seeing major cases of fraud, waste, and abuse uncovered at the state and local level. Those situations did not begin with criminal intent. They began with projects that were allowed to advance without sufficient scrutiny, where assumptions replaced evidence and oversight gave way to momentum. I want to be very clear, I'm not alleging fraud today, but waste and abuse do not require bad actors. They only require insufficient diligence. The East Side Corridor project has been questioned from the beginning. Yet despite documented public concern, disputed environmental analysis, and rising taxpayer costs, the process has continued to narrow alternatives and move forward toward a predetermined outcome. That's where waste begins. And that is where abuse of process can also occur, even unintentionally. Tonight's vote is not ministerial. A FONSI is a discretionary decision. It commits the county to a specific alignment, forecloses alternatives, and sets in motion land acquisition, infrastructure coordination, and construction. Because of that, it must be made by impartial decision makers. Residents have formally placed on the record concerns that certain commissioners may have individualized financial or professional interest uniquely affected by this project's alignment and design. Under Minnesota law, disclosure alone does not resolve such conflicts. Where a reasonable member of the public would question impartiality, recusal is required. from discussion, influence, and voting. Participation by conflicted officials does not just create perception problems, it creates legal risk. Decisions tainted by conflicts are routinely invalidated regardless of intent or vote margins. You are simply not approving roads tonight, or a road tonight. You are setting a precedent for how this county treats public input, environmental review, fiscal responsibility, and ethical governance. Oversight is not delay. Transparency is not obstruction. And asking for a higher level review, in other words, an EIS, is not anti-infrastructure, it's pro-governance. Before you vote, I urge you to pursue, pause, and ensure this decision is made by impartial hands, and ask whether advancing this project without a deeper review truly serves public interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Anybody else that can make public comment?
This crew's gonna be hard to follow. Good evening, my name's Seth Muir, I live at 2551 Mossy Creek Drive here in Owatonna, Minnesota. Along with so many other residents in Owatonna, the taxpaying constituents, I'm adamantly opposed to placing the fast road at 29th Avenue location for so many reasons. Over the last 3.5 years, this process has been fraught with injustice. This road poses a very serious threat to safety and threatens social and environmental well-being. Regarding injustice, 2 or 3 years back, when our group tried to discuss distances and drive times between the 29th versus the 34th Avenue location, the WSB engineering firm that we've been working with told us that our data was erroneous since we used Google Maps for some of our data. Then soon after that was found that that very engineering firm was also using Google Maps. They were talking out of both sides of their mouth, unjust. Furthermore, one of the reasons the county moved federal funds from ESC to another project was at least partly due to the county's belief that litigation was forthcoming from a group of Owatonna residents and constituents. In fact, residents at that time had not threatened or initiated any litigation. With no more federal oversight, then the county can continue to do whatever they want, regardless of excessive sound levels or environmental degradation. Between June 6th and October 28th, 2025, Steele County operated without a properly appointed or licensed county engineer while advancing key East Side Corridor related decisions as testified by the administrator under oath on October 17th, 2025. Regarding data practices, the county was found guilty and fined in the court of law for withholding and obstructing public data. Commissioners have made public decisions in private meetings that they themselves termed desktop exercises. 3 or 4 commissioners potentially stand to make a profit if the fast road is placed at that 29th Avenue and they have not recused themselves on this vote. Large amounts of tax dollars have been inappropriately used at a time when we are feeling the burden of large taxes already. More injustice. If, with wise and unbiased considerations of the growth of Owatonna eastward, if there must be an east side corridor, put it further out, put it at the 34th Avenue location. You can't just place dangerously close, can't place this dangerously close to existing neighborhoods and ramrod right through environmental impacts that a full environmental impact statement might reveal.
Thank you, Seth. Anybody else that can make a public comment?
Jeff Otto, 2490 Fox Hollow Lane. EAW comments relating to the noise and safety concerns for the East Side Corridor were given a common response. Federal guidelines do not need to be followed because the federal funding was removed from the project. Given the responses, it's clear your removal of the federal funding was only to lower the standards that the road is required to meet. Telling residents to lower the standards did not address any of the concerns communicated in the EAW comments. The proposed mitigations are not noise mitigations. According to a WSB resource, a picket fence is a mitigation for privacy, not noise. 2.5-foot berm or a single row of trees also does not mitigate noise. Telling residents this road was always planned is not an honest response. 1/3 of the map right-of-way was sold to a developer. Houses were built on the map right-of-way. The development was created with 3 intersections within 5 blocks. This would never be allowed to connect to a road this size. The city council passed a resolution back in 2013 stating this project was abandoned. The county paid for a noise study and are aware of the impact. Instead of addressing the issues, your efforts have been spent to lower the standards the road is being built to.
Thank you, Jeff. Any other public comment?
I'm Katie Zimmerman from
I'm Tayden Zimmerman from 2525 Stony Creek Drive. I am the oldest child of our family, and I have firsthand seen the effects of the East Side Corridor. I have seen many conflicts in the community that stem from the East Side Corridor that have not only taken away time from me, but time from my family and others in our community. I have seen at least 100 hours of time lost that could have been spent with me and my mother, that has been spent fighting this conflict. I think that going forward, without the studies and without the evidence that is necessary to build a road of this sort, that moving forward with this project is not a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else that'd like to make public comment?
Melissa Zimmerman, 2525 Stony Creek Drive. 3.5 years. For 3.5 years, and we're ready to rubber stamp this predetermined project and move on to construction. Before that happens, there's the issue of conflict of interest. A conflict of interest exists when a member of the public can reasonably perceive that an elected official or someone close to them may stand to benefit from a decision. This is common, it is recognized in the law, and there is a clear process for addressing it: disclosure and recusal. Regardless of the council's opinion, perceived conflicts require disclosure and individual consideration by commissioners themselves, which is why this packet is submitted for the public record. Tonight, we are asking for transparency and adherence to the process that protects public trust. Disclosure and recusal are safeguards, not accusations. Like many others here tonight, I am concerned about the adequacy of the responses to the public comments. In many cases, the responses did not address the substance of what was raised. It introduced new information after the comment period closed, or it contradicted the existing record and the EAW itself. That leaves this decision vulnerable and the record incomplete. At the last meeting, I shared a life and death situation my family faced. Tonight, my family is here as directly impacted residents. It affects where my children play, it worsens medical conditions in our household, and it significantly increases the health risks for my husband, who has already survived a major heart attack, 7-fold. Growing up, my dad used to say, if money can fix it, it's not a problem. As an adult, I understand what that means better now. Money can fix a development agreement. It cannot fix the disproportionate, permanent impacts this road will impose on hundreds of residents. The only promise made to residents throughout this process was that our safety would be the top priority. Upholding that promise means protecting the integrity of this decision. I respectfully ask that commissioners with perceived conflicts disclose those conflicts and recuse themselves, and that this resolution not be approved. Tonight, I stand with my fellow residents. We have spent 3.5 years advocating for our safety, and we will not stop.
Thanks, Melissa. Anybody else would like to make public comment? Anybody else?
Brad Meyer with the Chamber of Commerce, 120 South Oak, also 2592 Moss Creek Drive is where I live, so I'm out in this neighborhood. Thanks for the opportunity to speak today. I do apologize, we have an event tonight that I have to leave before you do your vote. Chamber's Board of Directors has reviewed this East Side Corridor project a couple of different times actually, and has taken a formal position of support of this project. Chamber views this corridor as an important step forward in the continued growth of our community. Project will provide much needed north-south collector route on the city's east side, helping address growing traffic demands and improving mobility for residents, businesses, and visitors throughout the Owatonna area. Our organization has been closely following this process, attending meetings and the most recent open house. We appreciate the thoughtful engagement that has taken place and encourage the process to continue moving forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brad. Is there any more public comment?
Sherry Raven, 2455 Meyerwood Place, Northeast.
currently studying judges. Righteous rules and laws were given, and people swore to follow them. However, there was no leader in the land, and everyone did what was right in his own eyes. In later chapters, a thought of wanting more took root in one man's mind, who acted on it, not meaning to harm anyone. Following a series of choices, he ended up in a wicked city, choosing to destroy part of his own family in order to save himself. From there, he involved hundreds then thousands of others, weaving a deceptive story of omission. Group decisions led to seemingly righteous destruction across an entire region, ultimately leaving a nation in distress. They had no leader, and everyone did what was right in his own eyes. To greater and lesser degrees, the pattern plays out over and over. And with the reader's hindsight, he wants so desperately to warn them, don't do it again. Though are left utterly perplexed with their repeated choices leading to ruin, when they had the rules and laws to prosper right in front of them. But they had no leader, and everyone did what was right in his own eyes. A very wise man once said, there is nothing new under the sun.
Thank you. Is there any more public comment?
Ross Zimmerman, 2525 Stony Creek Drive, the east side corridor. I just want to point to the room here, and I want to see how many people are here right now. How many times has this happened in the past? For any of the other discussions, topics, issues that have come up before you guys? Take a look. That's a lot of people. Just have to follow, you know, what the comments of the people are, and do your best to follow those guidelines. And I think, you know, we've made a proper showing here. That we think this is pretty important, and we want you guys to think it through. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any more public comment?
Why are you putting your oats so close to where we play? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any more public comment? Is there any more public comment?
Jen Gustafson, 2264 Bill Drive. I don't have anything written down up here, but this east side corridor also affects our development too. There's approximately 16 houses on Hill and Walker Drive. It's a beautiful, beautiful little street, the only one like it. The impacts that this will have on our safety, the noise, the wildlife, the children playing are great. A couple years ago, we were talking to you about what they developed right behind us, the wall land. And if you could see the wildlife and the deer that come lay in herds and ate little trees, the wild turkeys that have no place to go. This is big. Please say no.
Thank you. Is there any more public comment? Any more public comment? Seeing none, we'll move forward with the agenda, the consent agenda, board wishes.
Chair, I'll move for approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Motion is second, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next is adopt resolution 26-11, approving the board or the record of decision and the negative declaration on the need for an environmental impact statement for the Eastside Corridor project.
Pardon me, what you just passed, what is that all clarifying? Is that going on you would be 29th Street, or is that, are you both?
We, just to pass the consent agenda. I don't know if you have a copy of the, agenda, but we just, the consent things we just passed. Now, we have people from WSB, the engineer, attorney here to go over. Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Just like to do some introductions real quick. At the far left down there, we have Sam Ketchum with Kennedy and Graven. I'm sorry. So they've been our legal assistants through the process here with the DAW. And then next to him is Jack Orkel with WSD and Andrew Fallman with WSD. So we're here tonight to present the findings here. So I'll turn it over to Jack, or to Sam, I'm sorry.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board, and also residents of Steele County. As Ron mentioned, my name is Sam Ketchum. I'm an attorney at Kennedy and Graven. We are a law firm that provides a full range of legal services for local government. This includes advising cities and counties about compliance with environmental statutes and rules, including environmental review. We're the largest law firm in the state that does this kind of work for local government, and we do provide general counsel and special legal services really every corner of the state. Along with county staff and engineers from WSB, I'm presenting the first item on your general agenda tonight. I know that you have other things on the agenda, but this is obviously quite important, not just to the board, but also the residents here tonight. The resolution is 2026-11. There's also a memo from county staff in your board packet. It can be found on page 126. And then the resolution itself can be found on page 128. So I just want to draw attention to those documents. Those are what's presented in the board packet. The record of decision that is being referenced and will be referenced in this presentation is also included in that packet, and that includes the findings of fact, the conclusions, and the responses to public comments that we'll receive during that public comment period. Before WSB presents some further information about the project and the criteria, I was asked to just provide an overview of where the county is in the environmental review process. My assumption is that you all are probably aware of some of this already. It's clear that some of the residents here are tonight, but I just want to create a record of that and just walk you through where we are. So, Minnesota Statutes Chapter 116B is the Minnesota Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA. NEPA provides environmental review requirements for a variety of major governmental actions. This includes a long list of projects from transmission lines to mining facilities, certain residential and industrial developments, and then administrative rules promulgated by the EQB, or Environmental Quality Board, implement NEPA and provide certain procedural requirements. EQB rules identify specific projects that trigger the threshold of a mandatory environmental assessment worksheet, or EAW. And most important to the action tonight, an EAW is required for the construction of a road on a new location over 1 mile in length that will function as a collector roadway. That's the reason why the East Side Corridor project triggered the need for a EAW, and the county was designated as the responsible governmental unit, or RGU. So pursuant to NEPA and EQB rules, an RGU has to prepare a document that describes the project and identifies certain environmental effects and mitigation. The EAW was prepared using a form and process that's required by EQB rules, and that includes distributing the EAW to a variety of regulatory agencies and publishing it for public comment. I'll add that it does not necessarily require public engagement in the form of open sessions or open houses, but I am aware that your county staff and WSB organized a number of those and received a lot of feedback from the public over and above beyond what's required in the public comment period. So I just wanted to note and highlight that as well. I also want to note that the task of preparing an EAW is not to be understated. It's a lot of work, and the WSB firm and county staff spent a lot of time not just with the public engagement, but also the technical analysis and preparing that document with the county board. WSB will present further on this EAW process and public comments it received and the criteria for the decision, but I do want to note that the county did receive a lot of comments about the project. Those included comments from MnDOT, the DNR, and the city of Owatonna. Additionally, the county received comments from one neighborhood group and 67 individuals from the public. This includes several commenters who provided a significant number of separate individual comments. All of those comments are publicly available, and I will say that it is a large amount of comments for a project of this type, and that's a testament both to the public engagement that the county offered, but also the interest in the residents of Steele County. I also note that this because the county is required to respond to timely and substantive comments, and county staff and WSB in particular worked diligently to respond to all such comments. Those are included in the record of decision before you tonight, and they are again publicly available. All right, I will stop now with all the acronyms and the legalese. I'm sure that you're probably hearing some of that, but I'm going to turn it over to WSB, who has a presentation about the project and again the record of decision before you, and then I will reintroduce that resolution with a little bit more about what it is.
I don't know now, it's the right time to ask a question, or whether I should put my question in. And we heard tonight from several people that there's a need for an EIS. Can you explain to, I read it, but maybe explain it to the room, what an EAW is and what an EIS would accomplish? And that's the first part of the question. The second question is, how lengthy is an EIS? And it was also referenced that this cost continues to go up. What could we anticipate in an EIS, and what could you anticipate from an EIS, both cost-wise and outcomes? I've talked to commissioners in other counties and engineers that I know or have come to know over the years, and they, it was stated that there are a lot of people in this room. They have made similar comments to me that when they have projects of this scope and nature, that a lot of people show up because it does affect people. We've also had people reach out and say, it makes sense. So there's pros and cons both ways. But I guess I'd like to know what an EIS is going to accomplish, how long is it anticipated to last or take, and maybe a rough idea on cost.
So that's a number of questions.
It is, but I wanted to get it out while it's fresh in my mind.
So, and they are good questions as well, just, for clarity purposes, an EAW is an environmental assessment worksheet, an EIS is an environmental impact statement, is, I think, simply put, a more robust form of an environmental review document that examines, the environmental effects further. It would also examine things like alternatives, but that, as we'll get into later, I think it would be clear to the board that that's not required for an EAW, so that is one of the main distinctions. It is costly to produce environmental review documents in general. It was, I'm sure it was costly to produce the EAW that is, before the board and part of the record of decision tonight already. An EIS would obviously be costly to produce as well, but that's not part of the decision-making criteria here tonight. What you have to consider is specific rules under the EQB and criteria. So, I will say that essentially, if we were to order an environmental impact statement, which is not supported by the record, that would essentially, it would elongate the environmental review process, and you would have to do further analysis of the project. So, the other thing I heard you say, Commissioner, is that a number of people supported this project, and we heard that a little bit here tonight in the public comment period, but it was also present in the public comments that I saw, and there are people that do support this project and submitted public comments in favor of it. I hope that answers your question. I can try and
Well, it does,
clarify.
and I fully understand what's in front of us tonight.
Mhm.
To help me make the decision, I wanna process what we could expect, timelines, anticipated costs. And again, the people I talk to, I tell me oftentimes the EIS doesn't draw any different conclusions, having costs and a bunch of extra time. And then, I know the public they've tasked us with or trust us with being good stewards of their money. I wouldn't wanna make a decision without knowing what that is, but I also don't wanna spend money where it makes no sense. Just to prolong the project. We've been into this for several years, and it's kicking the can down the road for 3 more years doesn't make sense, because we know what the costs do year over year.
If it would be helpful, I can say that generally, the EQB rules provide really specific timelines for how things get generated and how public comments get responded to. The board meeting tonight, is evidence of that. We had to have a decision within 30 days of the close of the public comment period. I would say that generally speaking, that your decision is not whether to order an environmental impact statement, it's whether the criteria that the EQB provides, and it's included in your resolution, demonstrate the potential for significant environmental effects. And we'll kind of explain this further, but the findings of fact and conclusion that for the board tonight does not support that. If it did, or if that was an option, we would have basically produced another resolution for the board to consider a positive declaration, but that is not supported by the record, and you basically have what's in front of you tonight, including the record of decision.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have more?
No, I'd be happy to answer any other questions if I can.
I'm sure they'll come up. Mr. Neck?
Alright, thank you. We can change the slide, please. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Sam touched on this first one a little bit in terms of the EAW process. As he indicated, there are rules that dictate when you need to prepare an EAW. And the language on this slide essentially says when you have a highway project that is going to be over a mile in length, you need to do it in the location. So that's why we are here today. In terms of the schedule of where we've been with the EAW and where we're going in
did publish to the EQB monitor, which is required. We prepared legal ads, we sent notice of the document being available to the required distribution list. It was posted on November 18th, 2025, and then submitted again for a second publication on the 25th. The EQB submittal, when you put it in, automatically sets your comment period for 30 days because that is what is required. And we extended that comment period, and the first notice didn't have the right end date, so we published again on the 25th. So we took a public comment period from November 18th through the 31st. We did that because there were a couple of holidays in there, and we didn't feel that was fair for folks to take time away from other events, and we had extra time to provide comments. Once the comments were received, the public period is officially closed. That happened on December 31st, and then we started preparing the findings of fact and conclusion. We are here this evening to present to you the information on that, and then within the next 5 days, based off of this evening's decision, we will have to send a notice to the EQB that a decision has been made, and we will have to let the folks, the agencies and organizations on the distribution list, local units of government, as well as those that provided comments of that decision.
Is that common 5 days? Is that who mandates that?
That's part of those rules that
Okay.
Sam was talking about, so I need to submit that.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. In terms of the project background, I think you're all familiar, so I will go through this rather quickly. The purpose of the project is to help improve connectivity of the Steele County transportation network, to address existing and future travel needs on the east side of Owatonna and adjacent townships, provide relief to existing roadways and prevent future congestion. And the need is, problems today are poor network connectivity, congestion, existing land use and development and future growth are driving it, as well as walkability and bikeability, which are identified as secondary needs. Next slide. In terms of the project elements, the primary new portion of the project is the 29th Avenue East Side Corridor. It's a north-south roadway. It is 2 travel lanes total, 1 in each direction. It includes a bridge over Mead Creek. We have what's called a rural, urban, and suburban design, and that means whether there's ditches or whether there's curb and gutter. So again, that urban section is used to minimize the footprint closer to development, and to have the suburban and rural designs where there is less development. There's ponding included, there's a multi-use trail, there's railroad crossing. It's been designed at 40 miles per hour, which is considered a low speed according to state rules, and includes berming and landscaping. There are other portions of the project. There's a portion of SA 8 or Kenyon Road, which that existing connection will be removed and realigned to provide that north-south continuity. Reconstruct CASA 34, which is also 26th Street Northeast. A portion of that roadway will be reconstructed to a 3-lane facility, which means there's a center turn lane so that people making left turns have a place to pull out of the traffic behind them to help with safety. And again, there's multi-use trail on that portion of the road as well. Next slide, please. Claremont Road, or County Road 180, is realigned and reconstructed. And again, that's to help provide better separation with the railroad. Right now, between County Road 180 and County Road 171, which are next to each other, there's some really funky intersections with the railroad. We're helping clean that up and providing better separation with that as well. And then reconstruct Southeast 18th Street, which is currently a gravel roadway, and that would become a paved roadway and would also include that multi-use trail. Roundabouts have been included at key intersections along the corridor. They provide a couple of advantages, both in terms of safety and speed. They are particularly good for pedestrians and bicyclists, which is important when you have those trail facilities that are included. We have drainage as well, and that is different options, again, depending upon rural, urban, and suburban locations, where we have some culverts, ponds, and ditches. All right,
Right, so the findings of facts and conclusions, so that's the document that is before you this evening. That is a document that essentially says, since the EAW has been published, or if there's any technical errors or admissions or anything that needs to be added, it's sort of like correcting the record. And it also includes information of what permitting, would be required should the project, proceed. So there's a couple of things that we did provide better clarification on. The 40 mile per hour design speed in terms of the project description in section 6. There were some questions about lighting that we received, and lighting will be provided at the roundabout intersections. We will use LED lighting, which will help you control the color of the lighting and make it more of a natural light compared to some of the old incandescent lights that have been used in the past, or old phosphor, high pressure sodium, thank you, lights of the past, and they are going to be backlit to help minimize impact to adjacent properties. Construction is anticipated to begin in 2027. The permits and approvals required. The federal review of species and the 106, which is the historic, those are not required as the federal funding has been removed from the project. The DNR did ask us to also include a public waters permit just in case. We have been working with the DNR. We think we're gonna have all of our bridge structures and piers outside of the public waters that are out there, but they wanted it included just in case something happened as design continues to progress. In section 14 regarding the fish, wildlife, and plant communities, the DNR has requested a habitat assessment near the railroad, just to confirm that there aren't any species or plants in that area. And so the county will need to hire a surveyor to do the biological assessment. So that will have to happen before design, or before the project will be constructed.
Right, it'll be done in the summertime?
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. The DNR did request in terms of some of the plantings, that any native seed mixes not include some certain types of seed, including smooth brome and sweet clover. And then the section 7 review regarding the federal species does not apply in terms of the document itself. The information it contains in terms of getting permits, any permit that would be needed from the Army Corps of Engineers would still apply. And then we've talked about the historic resources as well. The information on that is still applicable, it just does not need to have. In terms of the visual impacts, we did note potential mitigation of burning landscaping and trees. Should be noted in that section that based on input, the county would make a decision, and burning and trees were the items that were selected versus including fencing. So that was something that had been asked in the public. So what is your input on this? In terms of noise, we have included or updated information regarding the design speed of 40 miles an hour, 40 miles per hour posted speed. We've included the berming and landscaping, the roundabouts, and the urban design near developed areas, as well as shifting use within the identified right-of-way to help reduce some of the noise impacts associated.
Can you expound on what you mean by urban design?
Yes, so, we have urban, rural, and, suburban design. And the urban design is curb and gutter on both sides. It's a tighter footprint of the roadway, right? So the drainage and everything you have underground that goes into catch basins, to catch the water runoff. A suburban design might have that curb and gutter on one side, but the other side has a ditch, right? So it allows the water to roll off to the side and it has to be conveyed through the ditch system. It's a little bit bigger footprint in terms of what happens. And the rural is where you would have ditches on both sides.
So is it safe to say with an urban design, it slows traffic, or what's the thought process? I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what's the thought process?
So in general, there's things that, designers like Andrew use called traffic calming. And part of that, includes an urban design, because it feels narrower to drivers, versus the sort of wide open feel of a rural design. Roundabouts are also measures that are used for that, because it does slow traffic, right? It brings everybody down to slower speeds. So those are also traffic calming. Things such as the burning in the trees also contribute to potential traffic calming as well. Okay. Next slide, please. Again, this kind of goes back to some of the state requirements that we were talking about earlier. Again, it's required, because of the construction of the roadway. These items in terms of the publication are required in terms of the legal notices, the press releases, and the distribution. Next slide, please. In terms of comments received, we received about 240 comments. 3 came from agencies, which included the DNR, the Department of Transportation, as well as the City of Sultana, and then the remaining were individuals who groups of individuals. Next slide, please. So the next piece is the decision on a need for an EIS. And so, again, sort of as Sam was talking about earlier, it's either a negative declaration, which means you do not need an EIS, or a positive declaration, which says you need an EIS. And then you need to make the decision based on the information that was gathered and produced. So you, as the board and as the county, as the RGU or the government unit that's making this decision, needs to maintain this record, which includes this findings of fact document that we have, and it has to include those responses to the comments you received as well as the comments that you received. And so then in terms of deciding whether a project has the potential for significant impacts, you need to compare the impacts that are present with the project with the criteria. And Sam, do you want to go over the criteria, or would you like me to continue with that?
I'd be happy to jump in on that. It is also on the second page of the resolution. Is there a slide on that, or do you, okay.
Yeah.
Again, what the county is being required to do tonight primarily is to determine whether the project has the potential for significant environmental effects. And these criteria are the specific criteria that you will be considering. The type, extent, and reversibility of environmental effects, is the cumulative potential effects of the project, the extent to which environmental effects are subject to mitigation by ongoing public regulatory authority, and the extent to which environmental effects can be anticipated and controlled as a result of other available environmental studies undertaken by public agencies for the project proposers, including other EIS. Those are the criteria that you need to consider when determining whether the project has the potential for significant environmental effects. And the findings of fact and conclusions that are basically presented to you as part of the record of decision clearly point towards that the project does not have the potential for significant environmental effects under those criteria. The resolution we produced tonight basically records that determination. Unless there's something else from WSB, I can kind of just walk through a little bit more about what that does, but I just wanted to confirm that. Okay, so again, the resolution in your packet on page 128, just turn your attention again to that. The resolution specifically lists out this criteria, and importantly, it incorporates and approves the record of decision, including the findings of fact and conclusions and the responses to all 240 of those public comments. That's all part of the record, and it's incorporated into this resolution. The resolution then takes 3 specific actions. First, it determines that the EAW was prepared in compliance with NEPA and EQB rules. Second, it determines that the project does not have the potential for significant environmental effects. Again, based on the entire record of decision and those criteria, which again include the criteria related to cumulative effects and mitigation. And for that reason, it would basically determine that there is no EIS required. The third and final thing it does is basically direct county staff and consultants and legal counsel to complete the environmental review process. WSB already kind of explained this a little bit, but there's basically housekeeping that needs to occur after you make a negative declaration. We have to provide notice to the EQB. Every single person that submitted public comment gets a copy of the negative declaration and the responses. And there's just a number of other things that basically have to happen once you make a negative declaration. That's the resolution before the board tonight. Unless there are any other questions, my recommendation is that the county board consider a motion to approve that resolution. And I will leave it at that.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Abbey?
So as it relates to the resolution, I need to find it here. Whereas during the public comment period, 3 regulatory agencies, 67 individuals from the public, and 1 neighborhood group submitted written comments, and it goes on to say, does that match what, I think somebody said the numbers were different, 240 or something.
I think I can explain that. So I believe what that refers to should be the individual members of the public. Again, the public comments that were received were more significant. That 240 number would include people that submitted multiple comments. And there were several people that basically submitted a number of comments, and each of those, assuming they were timely and substantive, were also responded to.
So 67 different individuals.
Correct.
Okay.
Andrew, do you have something to share too, or not? Ron?
I think, my comments would be consistent with, the FOC, finding the facts and conclusions. Yeah, that's very consistent with what they presented here tonight.
Rob, did you want to read the letter from Greg?
This is a letter submitted by Commissioner Greg Krieger, County Commissioner as residents. States as follows. Sorry I'm unable to attend tonight's meeting. I did want to weigh in on the East Side Corridor project. I reviewed the report, listened to all the public comments at our meetings, and all the public comments that individuals have made to me in the community who do not want to be part of the controversy, even though I have been accused of not listening. As a county board member, I feel it was my job to do my research and analyze all the data, listen to the whole community, take into account the total history of the transportation plan, and make the most informed, educated decision I can for the entire 37,000 residents, citizens of Steele County. The transportation plan was initiated in 1999 and offers a growth plan for transportation well beyond my lifetime. It was agreed to by officials from the city of Owatonna, the county of Steele, and the township of Owatonna. It has been a public document for 26 years. The city, the county, MnDOT, the state, and the feds have all agreed that 29th Avenue is the correct first phase of this plan, and I concur. We have been accused of closed-door meetings, not being transparent, and not listening to constituents, none of which is true. I know this decision will not satisfy everyone, but I hope we can respectfully commit to work together on mitigation concepts with open minds and come to a final design that will lessen the angst about the project. To summarize, I did not see anything in the EAW report or see or hear anything at the open house or at the comments after that brought up anything new to light. This report was thorough and very complete. I would support accepting the EAW report and move to the next phase of engineering the east side corridor at 29th Avenue. Respectfully, Greg Krieger, Steele County Commissioner.
Thank you, Rob. Any more questions from the board?
No. Mr. Chair, I'd like to offer the resolution approving the record of decision and a negative declaration on the need for an environmental impact statement for the East Side Corridor project.
A motion and a second to adopt resolution 2026-11, approving the West record of decision and a negative declaration on the need for an environmental impact statement for the East Side Corridor project. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to add a comment that we need a north-south road, but it does not matter where it goes, there would be opposition. No matter, it's a no-win situation, no matter where we put it, there can be opposition. So, that's what it is.
Mr. Abbott?
Yeah, I would concur. I know, based on the number of people in this room, that there are several people opposed. We have heard, or I can speak for myself, I can't speak for you guys. But I have heard from individuals that live in your very neighborhood, who want this road. They think it makes sense, as well as others in our community. I know it's not gonna make a lot of people happy, but it's also gonna make several other people happy, or a lot of people on the other side. So it's unfortunate that it's I don't know if the right term is, polarizing. It feels like that's kind of the world we live in now. I look at this as being in the best interest of all the people we represent. I know we represent you as well, but if we look at the totality of it all, and the need for a connector, and I agree with Commissioner Reed that something needs to be done. I think we all agree that there's a lot of congestion downtown. If you travel Middle Springs Road in the morning and then in the afternoon, and even other connectors, or what people consider to be connectors to get to the south end, there's a lot of congestion. And as our community grows, we need to figure out a plan or a way to alleviate that, and this, in my mind, is the best plan. Again, it doesn't make everyone happy, but if I take a look at it through a fiscal lens, I think continuing to kick the can down the road, or ordering an EIS, is only gonna prolong this project and add cost to it. If we add another year, we'll be looking at, I don't know what the additional construction costs are, but if you look at inflation, even 3% on a $30 million project is a lot of money. So a lot of people that are in this room want us to be cost conscious, but at the same time don't want us to be cost conscious. You can't have it both ways. As hard as it is for me to say yes, that we need to do this, I'm gonna vote yes, because in my mind it makes sense for all the people we represent, and adding cost to this in years does not make sense. It's a difficult decision, but again, as I stated earlier, I've talked to commissioners and my friends in other counties and engineers that I know that have had projects similar to this, and a turnout like this is not uncommon when you get a project of this scope and scale. A lot of people come out because it affects you, and like Commissioner Brady said, if this road isn't there and it goes somewhere else, it's gonna affect people there too. So there's an impact no matter where it goes. But this seems to make the most sense in my mind, and we've done our studies, and it's time to move this project forward.
Thank you. Any other comment? Any other questions? I thank you guys for coming and clarifying everything. I guess now the resolution's been offered, and I'll call the roll. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. 2026-12, approve the Steele County Solid Waste Management Plan. Welcome, Amber.
Per Minnesota statute, the solid waste plan must be reviewed and updated every 10 years. Steele County has worked with SEH to update our solid waste plan in order to meet current state requirements. The plan has not been the public comment period with Minnesota Pollution Control Agency and no comment will be made during the 30-day comment period. Kind of a high overview. To generate between 87,000 and 89,000 tons of municipal solid waste annually, reduce waste to paper, and implementing a reuse center at the Steele County landfill, educate residents about proper MSW management through news releases, social media, workshops, and waste wizards web-based program, manage approximately 50,000 tons or 56% of MSW as recycling annually. Recycling programs include curbside collection, rural drop-off sites, problem material recycling at the Steele County landfill and local businesses, and yard waste programs. Manage approximately 35,000 tons of MSW at the Steele County landfill and additional 4,000 tons at various landfills outside the county. Manage construction and demolition debris at the Steele County landfill, and these will be placed in a landfill, and fund solid waste programs with a combination of local fees and assessments, and state funding.
That was multiple. Any questions for Amber?
I don't.
No, Mr. Chair, this did go through committee, and offer the resolution approving the Steele County Solid Waste Management Plan resolution number 2026-12.
The resolution's been offered, do I hear a second?
I will second that.
Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to state, Mr. Chair, that, it was 160 pages and I didn't go through the whole thing. And, it's a 10-year budget, maintains our income to cover expenses for the next 10 years. And, also increased our landfill fund balance at the end of 10 years by 919,000, which is over 4 million. And it's by our best projections to keep us viable and sustainable in the future.
I agree. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the resolution 2026-12 has been offered. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All same sign, motion carries. I'll just stay right there, Amber, huh? Approve CUP 444. Hirsch, is that how you say it? Hirsch Cannabis Operation.
Helen Hirsch requests to build facilities to operate a state licensed cannabis operation that includes indoor and greenhouse cultivation, processing, and packaging. The facilities will be used to grow cannabis plants in a secure environment, process harvested plants, material including manufactured infused products, and package finished cannabis products for distribution in accordance with all applicable local and state regulations. No retail sales or public access will occur on site. The operation will implement strict security, odor control, and waste disposal measures to ensure compliance with the Office of Cannabis Management, municipal codes, and to minimize impact on surrounding area. The applicant plans to recycle their water with very little waste. The Planning Commission recommends approving CUP 444 with 17 conditions based on the findings of fact.
I assume you're Colin?
Yeah, hi.
Anything you'd like to add, Colin?
No, I think she put it good.
Oh, good. Any questions from the board?
No, Mr. Chair, but I would, make a motion to approve CUP number 444 with the 17 conditions based on the findings of fact.
Second.
The motion is second. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, I also attended this planning and zoning meeting and I was, pretty proud of our planning and zoning board. I think they really did a very good job on this.
Sounds good. All those in favor of, CUP 444, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
All those in favor, nay. Motion's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 19, approve amendment to IUP 2024-01.
ED Solar 33 LLC requests to amend Condition 18 to reflect a new glare analysis. The applicant was issued IUP 2024-01 to construct and operate a 4-megawatt community solar garden on the site. The racking equipment they would now like to use is different and has a different racking angle than the ones used in the glare analysis indicated under the original Condition 18 of the IUP. Both analyses have the same result of no glare. The Planning Commission recommends approving IUP 2024-01 with 18 conditions, amending condition number 18 based on the finding of that.
Any questions for Amber? Board's wishes.
I'll make a motion to approve amendment to IUP 2024-01 with 18 conditions based on the findings of fact.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, approve renewal of IUP 2011-01. Methodist Construction, Yearly Pit.
Methodist Construction requests to renew a sand and gravel pit on property owned by Sandra Durley in Owatonna Township. No material has been removed over the past 5 years. The Planning Commission recommends approving IUP 2011-01 with 19 conditions, with an amendment to condition number 17 to expire on January 1st, 2031, based on the findings of fact.
Once again, any questions for Amber?
Looks like planning commission's been busy.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the renewal of IUP 2011-01 Mathewitz Construction Jewelry Pit with 19 conditions based on findings of fact.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. One more, approve renewal of IUP 2025 Hewlin Brothers Aurora Pit with 18 conditions.
Yulin Brothers requests to renew a sand and gravel pit on their property in Aurora Township. Approximately 6,000 tons of material have been removed over the past 5 years. The Planning Commission recommends approving IUP 2020-05 with 18 conditions, amending condition number 18 to expire on June 1st, 2030, based on the findings of that.
Any questions for Amber?
No, Mr. Chair, I will make a motion to approve the IUP number 2020-05 for Yulin Brothers for the Aurora Pit with the 18 conditions based on the findings of fact.
Second. Motion is second. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chair, no discussion, just a comment that I'd like to concur with Commissioner Brady and publicly thank our public commission for, or our planning commission for their hard work. These guys, they put a lot into this and they lay it out well for us. It makes it our job much easier, so I'd like to thank them for their commitment and hard work.
Yeah, all these last three that we've been voting, this one, the two previous was, all pretty much, smooth sailing. No breaks or about nothing, so.
Great.
Non-controversial.
So if I remember, there was a motion and a second? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Amber. Included in the packet are the Public Works Committee minutes, Land Use and Record Committee minutes, and the Planning Commission minutes. It's time for commissioner reports. Do you have anything for us, Rob?
Aruba was really nice last week.
Thank you. Mr. Abbey?
On the 7th, I attended the Rice-Steele 911 Joint Powers Board meeting on the 8th Land Use and Records Committee meeting, also on the 8th the Dodge-Steele Community Health Board meeting, on the 9th, holiday celebration, and on the 20th, in
Thank you. Mr. Brady.
The 7th was, joint powers for 911 in Rice County. The 8th at Land Use Records. The 9th, I also attended the employee recognition party at the Eagles. The 13th, I had the Children's Mental Health Collaborative. And on the 14th, I attended a joint task force. And that brings us, yesterday I had a Steele meeting, and that brings us to today.
Thank you. Jennifer, you have anything for us? Mr. Prospect.
On the 8th, I had Southeast Emergency Medical Services. Also on the 8th, I had the Workforce Development Joint Powers Board. On the 9th, I was involved in the Finance Director interviews. Also on the 9th was the County Holiday Party. On the 13th, I had the Public Works Committee meeting. On the 26th, I was also at the Spiro Board. And then this morning, 27th, Internal Central Services Committee.
Thank you. I also attended the holiday recognition party, the Public Works Committee meeting, the Community Corrections Board, and this morning the Internal Central Services. I guess with that, I guess there's no future meeting notices. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.